Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 733 of the Juicebox Podcast. Lidset is the single mother of 3 children. One of them has type 1 diabetes. Lidset was newly single-fied when this recording was made. Actually, I believe we recorded it the day of her divorce proceeding. I forget, the day before. It was something like that. Anyway, she has a really interesting story, and being a single mom adds to that story. I hope you enjoy listening. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. It must be late while I'm recording this because I am very punchy and likely to say really stupid stuff when I make the ads in just a minute. So check that out. If you're a U.S. resident who has type 1 diabetes or is the caregiver of someone with type 1, please go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Join the registry. Complete the survey. 10 minutes later, you've helped people with type 1 diabetes. You've helped me, and you may have helped yourself. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. This show is sponsored today by the glucagon that my daughter carries, Gvoke HypoPen. Find out more at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Earlier this evening, we were double checking on Arden's CGM, and we did it with the Contour Next One blood glucose meter. Learn more and get started today at contournext.com/juicebox. You deserve an accurate blood glucose meter.
Hi, my name is Lidset, and a single mother of 3 girls who were all born in December.
They're not triplets, though. They've just been randomly born in different years in December.
Yes.
Okay. That would be crazy if you had triplet girls. Probably not crazy right away, but in a number of years, it would feel crazy. Let me see. So you have 3 kids. What are their ages?
5, 6, and 10.
Okay.
That's all what they're going to be turning here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we're right in the middle of December right now. Are they all born around the same time in the month?
Yes.
What's that?
We just had one this past Sunday, actually.
Do you only have sex in March?
No, it just happened to be, I don't know what happened, honestly.
Sounds like you bang a lot in March is what it sounds like, but that's fine. You do what you want to do over there. That's really interesting. So which one of them has type 1?
The youngest, the one that just had the birthday.
Okay, and she's 5?
Yes.
Okay. How long has she had type 1?
She's gone on a year in October, or on Halloween, actually.
Oh, yeah, just a year then. I gotcha. Was it a surprise? Meaning, do you see type 1 in your family?
My father's type 1, but was type 2 first, but he didn't manage it well, so he ended up becoming insulin dependent.
So is he this is so interesting because of the way they talk to people. So is he an insulin dependent type 2, or has he had like an antibody test that says he has type 1 diabetes?
I actually don't know. Whenever he was diagnosed, we didn't really know much about it.
Yeah.
Other than he had to check himself and he was trying to make some lifestyle changes, but didn't really stick. So we were really in the dark about it.
Well, no, that's not uncommon. Is your father with us still?
Yes. And actually, unfortunately, this last week, he actually had to amputate part of his leg.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I hope he's doing better now. That's terrible.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 64.
64. How long had he had diabetes?
Oh God. Well, I'm 30 and I remember him being diagnosed in just about when I graduated high school. That was like 2009, probably 2008 is when he had it.
Wow,
That's when he got diagnosed.
Oh, that's not that long ago, really. Less than maybe around 15 years-ish.
Yes.
Okay. So when your daughter's diagnosed, did you think of your father right away? Were you like, oh no, not this?
No, I didn't really, because her symptoms, like I said, we didn't know anything that was going on with her dad. It's just all of a sudden he was started off with pills and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't see any symptoms with him. He was just asking us to cook stuff differently or obtain remedies for him, and that was it.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So how does your dad manage now? Is it pills or insulin, or what does he do?
It is insulin.
Yeah. Does he use a pump?
No, he actually doesn't.
Okay. Do you? Does your daughter?
No, she has an InPen.
Okay. Yeah, they're great. They're terrific.
Yes, we actually like it quite a bit.
Are you using the CGM?
Yes, she has the Dexcom G6.
Okay. I don't know what you just did, but you sound much louder now. So stay where you are if you moved closer to a microphone or something like that.
Yes, I did.
Okay. She has Dexcom and an InPen, and she's had type 1 for a year. And how is it going?
It's going all right. I mean, it could be better.
How could it be better?
Well, I think she's starting to develop an allergy to the adhesive. For the bandages that go around the sensor.
Really? Okay.
So we're dealing with that recently. I just actually this morning saw that she actually took it off. So I'm glad she didn't take the sensor off, but she did take that Band-Aid off.
Okay. All right. So the sensor itself is okay, but you've been using an overlay over top of it that's bothering her?
Yeah, I think the overlay is what's bothering her.
Is it like aftermarket or using the one that Dexcom sent?
Right now, the one I put on her is the Dexcom one.
Huh.
She doesn't seem to pick with that one, but we used the it's from Amazon, the SIM patch.
Okay. Well, I'd say if it's bothering her, stop using it. That's pretty simple.
We did the Flonase trick and it seemed to help a little bit, but I guess since she just took it off.
Does she really need them? Is she young? I mean, she's young. Does she like bang it around or does she have trouble with it?
No, she picks at it.
Oh, she picks at it. Gotcha. Just a little like a nervous thing?
Yeah, she'll just be like, no, out of like boredom. Like she'll do it unconsciously in her sleep as well. She'll just.
No kidding.
Yes. So whenever we first came home from the hospital, we started off with the Freestyle Libre.
Mm-hmm.
She unconsciously took it off in her sleep. She only had it on for not even 24 hours.
Wow. What else can she do in her sleep? You should get her working, or cleaning the house.
She moves.
Something.
They move so much. All of them do.
Really? Yeah. I'd put a vacuum in their hand or something and see if they could help out around the house. Can I ask you, I don't know why I think this is important, and maybe it's not, but her father is the other girl's father's?
Yes.
Yeah. So you just divorced?
I will actually get divorced tomorrow.
Wow, really? Hold on a second.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, I guess.
Actually, yeah. It's waited about 3 years, and the paperwork was intimidating, but I finally got it done. I was like, okay, it just has to get done.
No kidding. Oh, good for you. And you're making out okay? Are you on your own? Is it just the girls and you?
It's just me and the girls, and they visit him almost every weekend.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry for the disillusion of your marriage and happy for you if you're happy. How about that?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. What a big week for you on a podcast, getting divorced. What else are you doing this week?
I don't know. My calendar looked pretty full actually for this month. Oh, that's the other birthdays this weekend as well.
Yeah, you have a lot going on. You're a busy girl. So tell me a little bit about the co-parenting. And so let me understand if, were you separated already when she was diagnosed?
Yes.
Okay. And so then what was that like? I mean, what's it like he's an ex or on his way to being an ex. And you're in the hospital, I imagine. Like, did you call him and say you have to get here? What kind of relationship do you have?
It was actually on the weekend that he was supposed to he took him.
Oh,
Um, the way this happened was we had started seeing symptoms, but like I said, I wasn't familiar as to what was going on. Um, I saw some weight loss, but I wasn't definite on it. But when he finally came to pick him up on Saturday, which was on Halloween, he instantly saw the weight loss. He's like, she's lost weight.
okay.
And I was like, you think so? Because I really can't tell. I'm like, I can see a little bit of it, but he's like, no, she's dropped quite a bit in this past week.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. Well, I'm like, I don't know what to do. We've already spoken with her doctor. The only major symptom she had was that she had this diaper rash that would not go away. And that's what they were focusing on, was getting rid of that rash.
Okay.
So once he took her, he lives 45 minutes away. Once he got there, he was just really bothered by it. From what he told me, he was really bothered, and he went ahead and called it. He's like, I'm gonna take her. I'm like, okay, you can go ahead and take her. Gave him the information, the insurance information, and I believe he got there about 3:00 in the afternoon. Around 6, he was told that this is looking like type 1 diabetes. And I'm like, well, how do you know? How do you know? And they said they finger pricked her, but he couldn't remember for sure what the number was. And they had just barely gotten to the back. So they'd been waiting for a while already.
Did you end up going to the hospital, or was it too far from
Yes,
you? You did.
I ended up going into town where he was at for other reasons. And he gave me a call, like, I believe at 9. And he's like, hey, she has also tested positive for COVID.
Oh, big day. Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she had no COVID symptoms, though.
Okay.
I will tell you that for sure. She had no fever, no cough, none of that. And I was like, okay, I can't. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and head over there. He's like, I don't know if they'll let you in. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, don't only let one person at a time. And I was like, no, I will. I'm like, well, ask them. I'm going to go ahead and head that way. And we got approval for me to go ahead and swap with him.
Mm-hmm.
It was already pretty late, and my elements being awake at night. So he was kind of adamant about being the one staying there. And I was like, well, you've been there all day and I'm used to being awake at night. So just let me go ahead and take over from here. And he went ahead and agreed. But once we did the swap, they told us that he would not be able to come back.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of went through this a little bit with my mom being in the hospital during COVID too, where it's just one person. And, sometimes it was funny. Like sometimes you could swap back and forth, and sometimes it's almost like they would change their protocols daily.
Yes.
It felt like,
The funny thing is that once I got there, they told me, hey, she's type 1 diabetic. She also tested positive for COVID. The rash, and she had, well, I'm sorry, that was the cat.
Don't be sorry. You're fine. It's not attacking you, is it?
No, she's getting into the dog treats.
Your cat is.
But yes, she thinks she can eat well, it's because the dog eats her food. So
let's say you have a dog, a cat, and birds.
Yes, I'm from a big family, actually, really big family.
Well, you have 3 kids too. You know that. So,
yes.
Yeah. So how many living things are in your house right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the people. I got 1 cat, 1 dog. I'm at 6. How many birds?
1.
You have to count.
3, 4 birds.
What kind of birds?
We have a dove, a lovebird, who lost his partner last year.
Oh.
A cockatiel. I believe that's it.
Did the lovebird move out with your husband? I'm just teasing.
No, the birds actually belonged to my mom, and she had a lot more than that.
I just imagined the bird sticking up. The bird was like, he's got to go. I'm going too, damn it.
Yes.
Solidarity. And then just walked out with his fist in the air. Birds don't have fists, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how long were you in the hospital?
We were there, I think 4 or 5 days.
Wow. Did she ever get sick with any COVID symptoms?
No, that's what I was very sketchy about. That they said she tested positive for COVID, but she still presented no symptoms. Everything was just strictly
Diabetes.
type 1.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It was but I'm trying to remember what that rash and that stuff on her mouth was. Yeast.
Oh,
there
yeast
you
infection. Oh, because her blood sugar was probably super high.
Yeah, so that's why we could not get rid of that rash.
Yeah. How high was her? Do you remember what her A1C was at first?
No, actually, they didn't even tell me what it was.
No kidding. Okay.
I can't remember what it was.
So then what's it like when you're getting the training in the hospital and you both can't be there at the same time? Like how do you decide who gets the training?
This is the funny part. So they went ahead and allowed him to come back in for the training only.
I see. Well, that makes sense. I mean, because can you imagine? You guys are separated. We'll explain it to one of you, and the other one can go, that's not going to be a great plan, probably. But you guys sound like you get along okay.
Yes, we get along for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. Except for the stuff he does wrong and the stuff you do wrong.
Yes.
So you get the training at the same time. Then do you keep the schedule? She's with you during the week, him on the weekend, or does that start seeming weird? Like, I mean, do you have trouble giving or I guess my question is where does she go when she leaves the hospital? With you?
Oh, so she came back. Yes, she came back with me.
Okay.
Conveniently, I was already going to be off and then requested for more time off because I just didn't want to leave her. And then I had to explain to everybody in the household, like, okay, so y'all can't be just leaving your big old 44-ounce big gulp drinks with Coke laying around anymore. You can't just leave your chips and stuff laying around anymore because everything she gets a hold of will just bring her up.
Right.
So it's just a big old conversation amongst everybody and see who also wanted to go ahead and step up and help with care for her as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your note about family support. So were there people in your life that said, I'll try to help, I'll try to understand this?
Yes. My sister, who is 17 years old, a senior in high school, stepped up quite a bit, actually, which I was surprised because I'm like, you're in school, but she wanted to go ahead and care for her. And then
your sister doesn't live with you, so she comes by and helps?
No, she lives here.
Like
it's a big household.
Gotcha.
I moved in with family, so with my family, so there's someone here all the time.
I see. Okay, I understand now. Okay. So that's lovely that she wanted to understand. How much did you understand? And how long did it take you to figure it out? Or do you not have it figured out?
I'm still learning. She does better when she's with me. I can tell you that. She definitely stays more in range when she's with me than she is with her aunts and uncles, and then with her dad as well. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think?
I dove into it. Like, I wanted to know what I can do to make her life as normal as possible.
Well, how is that? Let's kind of break it down by numbers for a second. Are you comfortable talking about like A1Cs and things like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
How is that going?
Well, right. I believe in the email I had sent you, I don't know, I think might have been the July appointment. Her A1C was 7.1. Mm-hmm. It came down from a 7.9.
Nice.
Now we're back at 7.9.
Okay. So she's 5. So she's at school?
Yes.
Okay. And is it not possible? Like, what's the biggest hurdle, I guess, do you think?
Mostly her her dinner time, honestly. She just throughout the day she'll be okay. She'll go up, but she comes back down. But her dinner, she just always goes over.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll come back down. And for a little bit, for a few weeks, actually for about a month, she was just rising in the middle of the night.
Yeah, kind of some growth hormone stuff.
Yeah, and I guess that's what her doctor said. But we were just like, okay, it's a month long of this. I'm like, are you sure we can't do anything? But now this past week, she's been riding pretty well.
So when you were seeing more resistance overnight, you wanted to increase basal or something like that?
Yes, like what can I do? I'm like, do I just have to keep correcting her throughout the night?
And your doctor said, don't worry about it?
Yeah, she said since it wasn't really consistent enough, she did not want to make a change.
I see. So because you're shooting insulin, you're not having a pump. The fear was if she needs, I don't know, how much basal does she usually get? Oh, God, she's what does she weigh? Like 40, 50 pounds, somewhere in there?
Yes, a good solid 40.
A good solid 40. She's a good solid 40
Yeah, she's
pounds.
very dense.
We got a nice solid 40 pounds. What's her basal? Hold on a second. I'm going to guess her basal. I might need a calculator. Give me a second. Hold on a second. So she's about 40 pounds, but her A1C is in the 7s. So I'm going to say that I hope she's getting about 9 units of basal a day, almost 10, but she's probably getting more like 6.5 or 7. Is that right?
The basal insulin, that's the long-lasting one, right?
Yeah. How much does she get a day?
3.
Oh, yeah, that's not enough. That's my guess. My guess is that okay, hold on a second. She's getting 3. What kind of basal is it?
Basilar?
Basilar. Hey, this is a good time for me to say that I'm not a doctor and this isn't advice. You're good with that, right, Lisette? While we chat through this? Okay.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's my favorite part too, because this is a lot of guessing. I can't see your graphs. I don't see anything. But just based on her weight and the A1C, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
So when she's stable and away from food and correction or meal insulin, so anything you're shooting with the InPen, like when she's away from that for a few hours, does she ever sit stable somewhere? Do you ever find stability at all?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
What number is that at?
It'll vary from about 90 to like 120.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So maybe the basal is good where it's at. So she can sit around 90 or 120 when she's away from all that. But then when you get to meals, she shoots up pretty quickly.
Yes.
Okay.
I do try to pre-bolus. They didn't mention anything about pre-bolusing until I started listening to your show, and I was like, what is this? I'm like, maybe I could give it a try, and it's gotten better, way better since I started doing that.
So when you pre-bolus a meal, you're saying they rise up but they come back down on their own?
Yes.
How long does it take for that to happen? How many hours till it comes back?
Probably like a good hour and a half before we start seeing something.
Okay. What would you how would you describe her eating style?
I'm not going to say low carb because she did eat pizza the other day.
Right.
But I try to keep it mostly low carb.
Okay. So you keep it on lower carb side. Is it a lot of processed food or natural food or?
It's both. A little bit of both. She'll have her chicken nuggets, but she will eat her berries and apples.
Interesting. Okay.
And like protein chips.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting because, but okay. So she can sit at like 90 or 120 when she's stable.
Mm-hmm.
She's going up at meals, but coming back down pretty quickly in about an hour and a half. Is she very active?
When she gets home, she's pretty calm.
Okay.
She'll just she's just worried about what she's gonna watch next, and then play with toys, That's really it.
All right. She's not running around a ton or something like that.
No,
Okay.
no, not a lot.
Interesting. I wish I could see your graph. I wish I
Oh,
could.
well, she's over right now. She's 192 right now.
192. Is this after a meal?
She had a baby bell cheese. And then she didn't eat her yogurt entirely. She only had like 2 spoonfuls.
So some yogurt. Did you say baby bell cheese?
Yes.
I don't know what the hell that is.
It's,
so I'm Googling. Don't worry.
It's that the little tiny cheese wheel.
Oh, look at you. You fancy. Oh, I see it. Okay. You know, it's funny now that I say it, I do know what that is. So she had that little hunk of cheese and a couple of spoonfuls of yogurt.
Yes.
And it made her jump up. How much did you bolus for that?
None, because she only had the cheese and a couple of the spoonfuls of yogurt.
But it still made her jump. So what was she before she ate the yogurt and the cheese?
She was, hold on. 91, 92.
So she went up 100 points off of that.
Yes.
Do you think she'll come back down on her own, or are you going to have to correct it?
She's probably going to come back down on her own. If not, she'll probably just still continually, gradually go up slowly. She has lunch here at about, well, she's going to pre-bolus her at like 10:45 at 11.
Okay. Do you think she's honeymooning?
There's so many times I thought she was out of it. Like we thought she was done honeymooning because we had this whole week where we gave it almost as if we gave her too much insulin.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent one evening with her, giving her juice. We gave her Skittles. We gave her chips. And she was still riding in the 50s. And
that kind of scares you a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was actually acting low. She was very like, Mom, my stomach hurts.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, I guess the best way I can describe it is really whiny.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good from what I gather. Get right on that microphone when you're talking though. Okay. InPen does half units.
Yes.
So if you would have done a half a unit before the cheese and the yogurt, do you think she's low right now or just okay?
She would have been okay.
She would have been okay. All right.
We did that yesterday, actually.
So you
just because she had a cheese wheel with the beef stick and half of the yogurt.
Okay.
And I was just like, okay, I don't know. I'm like, you're probably gonna try to go over, but she ended up not. She could see where it was going up, and it just came back down.
Do you feel like what happened today? Did you just think she wasn't going to eat very much? Like,
yeah, she just didn't eat very much.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have bolused this. Did you bolus this yesterday after she ate?
I pre-bolused her the half unit when I got home.
So I have to ask you then, why did you not do it today?
Because it was just a cheese wheel and a couple spoons.
But they still had
yesterday she had the beef stick with half of that yogurt. And this was what she ate today was the remaining of it.
Yeah.
But only just 2 spoons of it.
Okay.
And a cheese wheel. So I was like, well, let's try this out. She tends to go up during PE, and that's at about 8:45.
I see. She gets excited in gym.
Yes.
She's out there throwing around those 40 pounds, just trying to.
Yes.
She a little bit of a wrecking ball. Does she go? Is she? When she gets going or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you're in a really interesting. It's a shit position, really. She's little, and she's not with you. She's at school, and on top of that, you're not sure what's going to happen because it seems like she might be honeymooning sometimes and other times not. Does that all about sound right?
Yes, because after that week of where she was just too insulin sensitive, we could not control it.
Yeah.
We now ended up being where it wasn't even enough insulin. So that next week we doubled what we usually give her. Mm-hmm. So we were just thrown in a loop. I'm like, I don't know what to tell her doctor anymore.
Yeah. So
we were too low, and now we were too high.
And you're waiting to find some sort of stability so you can start acting the way you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It really is. Especially when they're smaller and they weigh less, and a tiny bit of insulin can mean a lot more. It can be frightening for sure. I mean, it will get better. It'll pass and she'll grow and that'll help too. But in the meantime, I mean, I don't know. Like it's also tough because it's not tough because you're injecting. It's tough because she's so small, because like you could have done like a little quarter of a unit if you were pumping today. You know what I mean? Like you could have put a tiny bit in and you maybe would have stopped this 190-ish thing and maybe had it be more like, I don't know, 140 or 150 or something like that. And that probably, those little decisions along the way are what take that 7.9 A1C, make it a 7, and then you find some more stability once she grows, and, your decisions around pre-bolusing and meals, and, they get more consistent, I guess. It's a tough spot to be in. I feel for you. It's not a lot of fun. It sounds like you're doing really well, honestly. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. It's just like those weeks where it's just like how, like I said, we were 1 week too low, 1 week too high, 1 week or a whole month of rising in the middle of the night, and now we're doing pretty good this past week.
Wait till she gets her period. That's years from now.
Oh, I've read about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun for you too. Do you worry about the other girls at all? Have you considered having them like checked through TrialNet, or how do you think about that?
They actually have been checked.
Oh, what did we find out?
Oh, they're good. They didn't test for any of the markers.
No kidding. Well, congratulations.
And they have a half sister, and supposedly they also got her checked and didn't come back with anything as well.
Your girl's father has a sister with someone who is not you. That's how that works?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so no one did. That's good. Do you have any autoimmune issues?
No, not that I'm aware of. I remember whenever my father was diagnosed, our school nurse was very concerned about us, about me and my other siblings. She was like, she would check up on us every now and then just to make sure we weren't exhibiting any symptoms.
Okay. You don't see it in any other family members? Thyroid, celiac?
She has Hashimoto's disease as well, actually.
Your daughter does?
That. Yes.
She on Synthroid? They give her something for it?
Levothyroxine?
Yeah, it's like Synthroid. It's Synthroid. I think it's the generic, baby. Wow. She must not get much of that, huh? A little tiny bit?
Yeah, it's 1.5.
Okay. What's her TSH the last time you checked it? Do you know?
What is that?
Okay. The next time she gets her thyroid labs done, you look real hard at her TSH. Okay. And if it's higher than about 2.1, talk to your doctor about increasing her medication. Because if her TSH is high, she might not have enough thyroid medication, and that could be messing with her blood sugar too.
TSH higher than 2.1?
Yeah, I would. And because there's a range, and doctors are going to tell you, oh, if it's like under, some doctors will say if it's under 10, they'll be like, that's fine. But you want to, in my opinion, be more aggressive and get the TSH as low as you can safely. So without causing hyperthyroid issues, you want to have the TSH as low as you can. There's a great episode on it inside the podcast if you want to listen to it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely will listen to that. I did not know that.
Yeah, because
I just know that this last time they said she was really good.
Good. Well, that's good. But watch when people say good. Because, okay, because what they mean is in range, and you don't know what they're talking about specifically. It's like when you talk to people about their diabetes, you're like, how's it going? You're like, oh, it's fine. That's great. And then you're like, what's your A1C? And they're like 10. Like, is that fine? Well, it is for me. Like, by the way, if they want their A1C to be 10, I'm not judging that. What I'm saying is you can't know what people mean when they say everything's good or everything's fine. And when you're dealing with stuff like this, it's specific. You need to know the number, not it's okay. Don't let them just tell you she's good. Make them tell you what the numbers are.
Yes. Yeah. I will tell them that. ask
Good.
about that next
Good.
time.
Can I ask a question? I hope that you seem to have a very good way about you, and you have a good sense of humor, so I feel good about this. What's your cultural background?
I'm Hispanic.
Okay. So the reason I asked is because I've been recently speaking to a young mother who's Mexican, and she has to fight against a lot of cultural things about diabetes. And I was wondering if that creeps into your life too. When you have diabetes and use insulin, low blood sugar can happen when you don't expect it. Gvoke HypoPen is a ready-to-use glucagon option that can treat very low blood sugar in adults and kids with diabetes, ages 2 and above. Find out more. Go to gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used in patients with pheochromocytoma or insulinoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk. Do you remember the time you went out and bought your first sofa and the salesman didn't let you sit on any of the sofas? He didn't tell you about any of the sofas. He just picked one and gave it to you? Oh wait, did that not happen to you? It didn't? When you go to the grocery store, do they just put whatever food they want in your cart and you have to buy it? No? That didn't happen to you either? Hey, when you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, did someone just give you a blood glucose meter? Not tell you about the rest of them? Not let you find out about the one you got? It just gave it to you and you took it? Oh, that did happen to you, didn't it? It did. Did you know you have choices? And that you don't have to just take whatever meter they give you? Maybe you'd want an accurate meter. A meter that's easy to transport and hold, easy to see in the light or the darkness, that has a bright light and second chance test strips, and he said, is incredibly accurate. Oh, you mean you could have gotten a Contour Next 1 blood glucose meter? That's right, you could have, and you still can at contournext.com/juicebox. Fair enough, you didn't know back then, but you know now. You have choices. And one of the choices you can make is what blood glucose meter you use. You don't have to just take the one they hand you. Perfectly honest, you don't have to take the insulin pump they tell you that, oh yeah, we use this one in the practice. Who's we? I'm me. We do what we want to do. This is you. You make the choices. Your life, your decisions. contournext.com/juicebox. Head over there right now. You may find that the Contour Next 1 blood glucose meter is cheaper in cash than you're paying right now through your insurance. What now? Say it again. That's right. It could be. It might be cheaper through your insurance. It might be cheaper in cash. You can find out by going to contournext.com/juicebox. You can also learn more about second chance test strips and buy a meter right now online with a giant button that says buy now. Actually, when you click on it, it takes you to all kinds of opportunities to make purchases right on the interwebs. CVS, Walgreens, Amazon, Walmart, Rite Aid, Target, Kroger, and then one I can't pronounce. So go check it out and then click on the yellow buttons and buy a meter. Last week, I think I clicked on Amazon to see how much it was. It was like $11 or something. This time I'm going to click on Target. Buy now. Ooh, here it is. The Contour Next 1 blood glucose meter. $19.99. I think it was cheaper on Amazon. I wonder how much it is on Walmart. Walmart. $19.97. Wow. What a savings, Walmart. Back on Amazon, there is, they have a 70 count test strip box for $26 and a 35 strip box for $14. I don't know how this stacks up with what you're paying now, but it can't hurt to find out. Or just ask your doctor to write a prescription for the Contour Next 1 blood glucose meter. Links to the sponsors in the show notes of your podcast player and at juiceboxpodcast.com. When you click on my links, you're supporting the Juicebox Podcast. So thank you for doing that. Let's get back to Lisette. Do people tell you not to take insulin, like things like that? She gets a lot of that. And I don't know if it's cultural or if it's just her family, and I'm using you to figure it out. Can you help me with that?
It may be a little bit of both. My mom believes that it's something that will just go away. And I'm like, it's not that. I'm like, see my dad. It never went away. But there was a lot of things that played in part as to why he got the way he is.
Yeah.
And I remember him asking me to get like cactus pills and garlic and stuff like that because he didn't want to take his medication.
Okay. He didn't want to take the insulin?
I remember he started off on metformin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they thought he had type 2.
So I remember just him saying, can you give me garlic pills or cactus pills? He went to Mexico for some stuff over there, but of course, none of it really worked entirely. I mean, it made him feel good for a little bit, but it's not a permanent solution.
Yeah. I was just wondering because this person, and I'm not going to tell their story because it would be for them to tell. But,
yeah.
You try to help a person and they're young, first of all. And how old are you, by the way?
I'm 30.
Okay. Yeah, you're young too, but not young like this person. This person was like in their mid-20s and, have a young daughter and they're getting pressure from family members not to give the kid insulin, and
yeah.
And the mother's like, I know that's not right, but felt a ton of pressure about it because they kept pushing. But your mom doesn't push. It's just sort of a belief she has.
Yeah. And she at first was like, are you sure? Are you sure she has? I'm like, yes. I'm like, it explains what she had been going through that whole month.
Right.
I'm like, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is where she's at now.
It's a tough pill to swallow. It's a weird analogy, but or saying, but it is hard to accept. Like, I mean, there was a moment when Arden was little where I found myself being hopeful for a couple days, during a honeymoon thing that, back then I didn't even know what a honeymoon was, but where just like your daughter, she just kind of didn't need insulin for a while, a couple days. And you do find yourself getting very hopeful all of a sudden, like, oh, well, maybe the doctor was wrong, and this is something else. But yeah, I was just wondering, I appreciate you talking about it because I wasn't certain. She seemed to think it was very cultural with what she was saying to me. And I just didn't know if that was something you had heard as well. And I just took a guess, from your name. So thank you. I appreciate you talking about that with me. Well, what made you want to come on the podcast?
Oh, well, I fell in love with the show when I first started listening to it. I was just like, oh, I really like this. I'm like, I don't know if you would have interest in my story, my daughter's story. 3 girls born in December, all with different, they all kind of have their own little things. So my youngest, of course, being type 1 diabetic and with the Hashimoto's disease. Mm-hmm. My middle one has allergies and she's actually on an allergy shot regimen.
Oh, really?
And my oldest, when she was younger, was on an allergy regimen, but I can't remember why we discontinued it, honestly. But she's done so much better over the years that doesn't really call for it anymore. But my middle one, it's hitting her harder than it did.
What is the middle one getting?
It's mostly anything outdoor.
Okay, outdoor stuff. And what you said she gets an injection of what? What is the medication?
It's like, I guess it's 3 vials of what she's allergic to, like grasses and trees, molds, weeds and stuff. And it's just to build up her immunity over a course of a long period. They said it could be up to like 4 or 5 years.
Wow. How do the allergies impact her? Does she have to stay inside or how bad is it?
Well, it's pretty windy today, so I'm probably going to come home coughing. She does get like asthma symptoms as well. Mm-hmm. So she does have an inhaler we have to use, which we didn't have to do with my oldest.
Okay. Do they ever talk about the allergies? And I mean, has the doctor ever kind of put 2 and 2 together and said, oh, you have bad allergies with a couple of these kids and your other daughter has type 1 and Hashimoto's? Do they ever talk about just the immune system in general kind of being out of whack?
No, they actually haven't. No. Wondering if if the youngest is going to have if she's going to require shots as well or not, because she's now showing symptoms as well. So now, like today, I'm wondering if she's going to come home coughing like her older sister is.
I had terrible like allergies when I was a kid to outdoor stuff, grass, pollen, stuff like that. And then, I mean, to the point where there were days where I just couldn't like go outside. I'd have to sit inside, in an air conditioned space and not leave. And it just got better as I got older. And then as in my, it kind of came back around at me when I was in my early 20s, but then it stopped and I'm not bad at all now. Like now I can go cut the lawn and it just doesn't bother me anymore. It's fascinating. My son had a bout with allergies in his teens where it hit him really hard. And then it seems to have kind of waned a little bit. He actually has Hashimoto's too, where Arden has type 1 and hypothyroidism, but hers isn't, we don't think, isn't autoimmune related. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about sometimes you hear about these other illnesses that are in families and they seem to cluster. And allergies, I know it's not, it's not a disease, but it's one of the things I hear a lot about in extended family members. So it's just always interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's sorry. That sucks. I'm sorry that they're going through all that. And you don't have any allergies.
No, I don't. No, I don't have any allergies.
How about your ex?
Yes. Okay. He's probably feeling it right now. Usually on days like this, he would come home and be like, my throat's itchy. Well, since my oldest didn't need her inhaler anymore, she hardly ever used it. He would use it every now and then to try to get some relief. He does also have some asthma symptoms that'll come up every now and then.
Interesting. Okay.
But that's really all as far as I know, he had. I know he has on his side of the family, the type 1 diabetes does run in his family.
Really? Okay. Who
Yes.
on his side has it?
I believe his mom never said it, but she showed it now that we thought about it and understand it more. His mom has it. I believe a couple of his aunts and uncles have it. His father, I believe, has it. On my side, we have my dad, and then I have an aunt on my mom's side. So it's also now on my mom's side.
Wow. That's interesting. I mean, that's a lot. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not surprising that some of your children have autoimmune stuff.
It's surprising because it didn't, I guess my generation or like my siblings and my cousins, as far as I know, I don't believe any of them have like an autoimmune disorder.
That's interesting. Do you ever have your other two girls tested for thyroid, or do they have any thyroid symptoms?
I didn't even know you could test for that as well.
Yeah.
I could probably check that out as well.
Well, where would you see it most in kids? Maybe like low energy, hair falling out, weight gain, stuff like that. Tiredness, can't get rested. Doesn't sound like them.
No, they're all pretty petite little girls, except for, the youngest. She's, not solid. A lot of weight, but she's got her weight back.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So she got her weight back.
No, I'm not going to forget that you said she's a solid 40. I thought that was.
Yeah, she's a good 40. My middle one is just a couple pounds less than she is.
Made me feel like if she bumped me in the leg in the kitchen, she could knock me off balance, like that kind
of
thing.
Yes.
Wow. So there's a ton of, I want to go back to something you said a second ago, because it's crazy. And I know you guys are like getting divorced tomorrow, but your mother-in-law, I don't know if that's how you think of her still, but that person, you're saying your husband ex grew up with a mom who had type 1. He didn't know that she had it.
Yes. We would see her, I guess, try to treat it herself. She just had this little box of just different, I guess, herbal pills that she would take, and then she would drink gallons and gallons of water.
No kidding.
And go to the restroom. And I thought that was just who she was.
Yeah.
And whenever we were told all the symptoms and what to look for, it just kind of clicked to him. It was like, hey, she could be type 1, and maybe she just didn't say anything and she was just self-medicating for it. And like she would drink a lot of water.
Does she use
A
insulin
lot.
now that you're aware of?
No, no. We have not been in contact with her for quite some time,
I
but
see.
we do remember that very well, though.
Oh, so this is just a memory from, because I mean, she's got type 1 and she's not using insulin. She's not alive anymore. You know what I mean? Like you got to use insulin. So, so she must have been, if she had it, she must have been using it in ways that, you know, maybe people weren't aware of. I don't know. Like that's just, it's just very interesting to me when people hide their illness to that level. You know what I mean? And it seems like it's more common. It really does seem like it's more common in some cultures than in others.
I understand what you mean.
Do you think it's like, do you think people are embarrassed? Do they think it's a sign of weakness? Like, because you're not treating it that way. You're managing your daughter's blood sugar. So I wonder what older generations felt. I guess I need to find somebody and ask them, because I'd love to know like what the thought process is around pretending it doesn't exist or hiding it from people. It's interesting.
Yeah, my mom's going through some health issues herself, and she really doesn't want anybody to know about it. And my aunt will come around, she'll be like, "Don't tell her about this. Don't tell her I've been limping on my leg." None of that. I'm just like, I mean, she's gonna see you walking. So I'm like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want her to know.
Yeah.
I know she wasn't okay with the idea me posting about it on Facebook. What had occurred with the youngest.
Right.
But I was just like, well, like it was a pretty big ordeal. I'm like, people are probably wondering why I was just kind of AWOL for a while.
Well, yeah, plus you need help. And I mean, if you got to get that help from somewhere, right?
And that's what it was for too. I was like, maybe somebody amongst my friends would have some knowledge they could pass on to me.
Yeah.
Which I didn't find anybody. And then with COVID still being around, it did restrict a lot of the programs and stuff that they usually offer. As right now, she's the only type 1 diabetic in her school, but we are aware there's another elementary school not too far from here that they have 3.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I did try to reach out like, hey, can you pass my phone number to them? I would love to know who they are, how old they are, and how long they've been dealing with it.
Yeah. I mean, hearing your story really makes me happy about the podcast, honestly, because there are a ton of people who just don't have access to any kind of information. Like, forget good information. Some people just don't have access to any information, or they're fighting against, you know, cultural ideas or generational ideas about management for any kind of illness. I mean, there's a lot that can be fighting against a person, and you're not going to find help in your bubble. You know, you have to kind of get outside of it and look and see, like, what are other people who are having success? Like, what are they doing? Like, that's what I would love.
That's what I want to know. I'm like, how are y'all doing? I'm like, do any of these kids at the other school have a pump, or are they MDI as well? Which I'll probably try again whenever school starts up again, and hopefully someone will reach out.
Yeah. Are you finding the podcast helpful?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like I said, I do visit the pro tips every now and then whenever she does something funky.
Are you on the Facebook page with the other listeners?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I read a lot on that one.
Is that helpful? Or like, tell me about how that either does or doesn't help you.
Oh, it does help me a lot. If I don't get to listen, I read actually a lot more.
Okay.
So right. I do have it as like, if there's a notification, I'll get it like right away.
Excellent.
I'll get like, the little bit of what it says on there. And if it interests me, I'll go on it and I'll try to read whoever posted what their story is and get ideas from that. Right. Like the one that interested me was the spaghetti thing, where they do like an ice bath and then you can serve it, and something about the starch.
Okay.
Or
I agree with you. I actually want to get somebody on to talk about that. So I think it's pasta, right? And so if you cook it and then, I don't know, wash it or refrigerate it or something and then reheat it, it doesn't impact blood sugar the same way as if you cook it and eat it hot. Is that your understanding of that too?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to get somebody on who knows how to do that. And even if it's like a 10-minute episode, I'm going to have somebody explain it to me. Because that people really seem to have a lot of success with that.
Yeah. And when I was reading the comments, they're like, oh, yeah, we've done that too. And I'm like, I've never heard of this.
No, I see people talking about it. I just don't seem to ever, no one's ever really brought it up while I'm talking to them. So, I'm going to find out. Okay, you've motivated me. I made a note for myself just now. Even if it's like a 10-minute episode where someone comes on and just is like, this is what I do and this is what happens. I want to know about that. That's really interesting. So the podcast has been generally helpful. You're looking for other information to help yourself. You're pretty sure maybe a little bit of honeymooning still, a little bit of difficulty. You said you work at night too. So who helps? When do you sleep? I guess is my question.
So I work 12 hours a night. Well, not every night. So it's a weird schedule. It's like 2 on, 2 off. Then it'll be 3 on, then 2 off. It's weird.
No. Yeah. So kind of, but it always a 12-hour. You just do a few in a row and you get different gaps. So, hold on. What is Arden texting me? When are you going to pay? What does this mean? Arden's like, oh.
Who is she trying to threaten?
Oh, hold on a second. No, yeah, right. You think she's she's shaking somebody down and she needs some cash. No, so she's at school and I just said to her, hey, your blood sugar is getting like a little on the low side. And I said, well, I can go get some food. And I was like, yeah, that'd be good. And then she goes, when are you going to pay? And I'm like, pay? Like, what is she talking about? But I guess she has an account at school and I haven't added any money to it for a while.
Oh.
And she's like, I'm like $45 in debt here. I was like, wait, what? I had no idea. I mean, or in fairness, I wasn't paying attention. So this is a little weird, but give me a second here.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I don't remember how to do this. Hold on a second. Oh, wait, I do. Hold on. Isn't the world weird? I'm logging into a Facebook page to put money on an account. Oh my God. She's not 45 in debt. She's $67.85 in debt.
Oh, wow. No wonder she's shaking you down.
She's like, buddy, listen. All right. Well, this is crazy, but I guess I'm going to put a bunch of money on here. Hold on. And pay this bill at the same time. Complete transaction. View receipt. All right. Hold on. I paid it. Go eat. Sorry about that. She did tell me. And I didn't ignore her. I just forgot. Wow. My God, she's 67. Like, the woman must have been like, this girl is just going to like keep shaking us down for bags of potato chips or whatever she's buying over there. And that sucks too because of COVID, because they used to have this great selection of food and now it's down to like cookies and chips and drinks. You know what I mean? Like they're not cooking for the kids anymore. And Arden she's a senior. She only has a half day of school every day.
Oh, okay.
Arden has what they call early release. So I usually hear her banging her way out of the house around 7:15, but she's home by like 12:30.
Yes.
Yeah. But that sounds normal to some people, but around here, like school is like from like 7:30 to like usually 2:30. And she just gets out early. But oh my God, I felt weird about that. Oh, well, sorry. I don't know who I'm apologizing to, but that just made me feel strange. I was like, I am really not paying this bill. I mean, you got to imagine she only spends a couple of dollars at a time. Like, how long does it take to get to 67? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's my fault. My fault. Oh well. Anyway, are you? I'm sorry. Back to the sleeping. When do you sleep? Because the reason I ask is because people have day jobs and kids with diabetes. Often you hear about them in your situation not being able to sleep overnight. Are you awake when you should be asleep, or are you finding a way to sleep?
Well, also I do work tonight, so whenever I scheduled this, I miscounted my days. So I thought I was going to be off today.
Oh, you need to go to bed. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, so I thought I was going to be off today, and I didn't count it off right. But also didn't want to reschedule because I still really wanted to do this.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, right after, and that's if I don't get off at work late, I'll try to be in bed by 9.
Okay. And then sleep some during the day while she's at school.
Yes.
Who does someone watch her blood sugar? Like, is there a nurse at school, or do you have a family member watching, or how do you handle that?
Yes, I have a few family members that follow her. And the nurse does follow her. She absolutely loves the Dexcom app. She did not expect that at all.
Good. So unless something goes really crazy, they're not going to wake you up while you're sleeping. Somebody will help or move her blood sugar if it needs to be done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So she knows if it's something serious, she knows to, I told her, just keep calling me. I will wake up. But I'm pretty light sleeper already. I've pretty much been a light sleeper since they were all born. Just I can just hear everything just in case something happens.
Yeah, that's that.
So I'll just hear it.
That's that mom thing. My wife, before my wife's awake, she's like, "What's wrong? Is everyone okay?" I'm like, "You're not even awake yet. How do you even know to ask this question?" She just hears the noise. Is Arden all right? I'm like, "Wow, are your eyes open?" Yeah, having a baby is not a great idea if you don't want to worry about people. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, that is fascinating when that happens to my wife. It's almost like she's aware of what's happening while she's asleep. It's not, I don't know. It seems uncomfortable to me. When I'm asleep, I'm asleep. Like, if you need my help and I'm asleep, you're in trouble. So I'm not getting up.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, I had to figure out Arden's blood sugar out of necessity because what I was doing before I had figured out is I would just stay awake because I knew if I fell asleep, I wasn't going to wake up again. So I would, I'd sometimes sit up back in the day till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just finding enough stability where I thought, okay, if I sleep for the next 4 or 5 hours, I think this is going to be okay. And I was like, I can't live like this. So a lot of the things you hear on the podcast are just because I needed to go to sleep, so I figured some stuff out. But anyway, does anybody else, are you the only one listening who cares for your daughter?
Okay, so it's me and then my sister, and then she actually ended up getting overwhelmed. She burned out just because of where she's also a senior.
Yeah.
So she had a lot going on, and so she went ahead and stepped back. But I have a brother of mine who went ahead and stepped in, and is now caring for her whenever she comes home after school. Because I'll be here with them for at most an hour, and then I leave.
Okay. And
then I'll pretty much pass the reins on to him, and he's learning. He's in the process of learning right now. It's been a good month and a half, 2 months now, and he's been trying to do it. But even then, even with my sister doing it, dinner time's still been a struggle for both of them.
Do they eat differently at dinner than they do during the day? Are there more carbs at dinner?
He tries to go for more low carb because he notices that it's a little bit, now he's figuring it out. He's like, oh, if I do it low carb, it's easier to manage.
Yeah.
And I do try to keep a lot of low carb snacks around. So if she gets into something, I'm not going to worry about it too much.
I understand. Okay. Well, listen, you're in an incredibly difficult situation. I mean, you have 3 little kids. You're getting divorced tomorrow. You're living with family. You work overnight. There's a lot of obstacles, but it does sound like you're making your way through it. And it does sound like you're learning more and getting better at it as it goes. I mean, honestly, you've only been at it a year or, maybe 14 months. So it sounds to me like you're doing really well. Do you feel okay? Like, do you feel like you're doing well and that it's progressing?
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing all right for where we're at. Like I really would want her in a pump, but until she learns not to pick on her Dexcom, I don't feel like she's ready for that because I want to shoot for the Omnipod, but I just feel like she'll just grab that and just pull it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think once you can kind of cognitively say to her, hey, listen, if you don't want to get injections anymore, here's a way we can not do that. Then she can make a decision on her own. And that decision then probably helps her day to day. But is she fidgety in general?
No. She'll have her days where she just doesn't want to deal with the injections, and then she'll have days where she'll just grab her arm, and she'll just keep doing what she's doing, and she doesn't care for it.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Well, listen, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to talk about? I don't want to miss anything.
No, that's everything. I did honestly. I didn't think I thought it was going to be short because I didn't think like I had enough to talk about.
Oh, listen. You have an incredibly interesting story. And I think it's more people's story than we're led to believe. I don't think that people who are in your situation come out online and talk about it. And so you think this is some uncommon thing, but I'm telling you that I believe that between your family dynamic and cultural stuff and, being a young mother and a single person with a bunch of kids, I think your scenarios and your struggles are much more common than you think. And I'm really grateful that you shared them because it's going to help a lot of people to hear you talk about it.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I really do. Would you think we'd be like 10 minutes and I'd be out of here?
Yeah, maybe like 20, 30 minutes because I didn't think I had anything to talk about. I was like, what do I say?
Do you even remember what you talked about at this point?
No.
Well, now by the way, I felt bad for the last 10 minutes because I was like, this girl's got to go to sleep. I'm like keeping her awake.
Oh, no, you're fine. I usually tend to like about this time. I know with lunchtime's coming. And then I know she'll get dosed here soon. And I don't know, just like around this time, I just feel more comfortable going to sleep.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I wish you a ton of luck. Hey, and congratulations on your divorce. I don't know if that's something you're supposed to congratulate somebody on, but I mean, it sounds like it's a long time to get to it. And that's,
yes, I guess that's just what it is.
You don't want to have to think about it anymore.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Do you have, this has nothing to do with anything, but do you date? Are you dating?
No, actually I decided I wanted to, but then I decided not to because I feel like
boys.
Yeah, because boys. And then I want to have my own place. Like I said, I live with family.
Yeah.
I would rather be like more self-established first before.
Yeah, you're working towards building your thing. Yeah. No, I understand that. I was just wondering because I was going to ask about having to discuss this with a like a boyfriend or that kind of situation. But if you don't have experience with that, then I won't bother you about it. But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Listen, I used to have a friend who we were younger and they were just dating, but he would jump from girl to girl to girl, and I'd always be like, why don't you stop for a little bit, figure yourself out before you start involving other people in your life again? And he was always like, nah. And
it's like, how do you tell them the same story over and over?
Yeah, no, I'm like, man, just take some time for yourself. But so I think that's great. You build your own thing and get yourself your own place and get established and take care of those girls and plus boys. I mean, it's just going to be another boy. And I don't know how to tell you, we're all about the same. So it's probably not going to be any picnic with the next guy. So anyway, I do really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for doing this. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. Juicebox. I also want to thank the Contour Next One blood glucose meter and tell you to go to contournext.com/juicebox. And of course, Lisette, for coming on the show and sharing her story. I really did have a great time speaking with her. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Don't forget to check out juiceboxpodcast.com, the private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast Type 1 Diabetes, and, you know what, while you're on the internet, t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Take the survey. When you complete the survey, you're helping yourself, people with type 1 diabetes, and little old me. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. I'll be back soon. Have a good day.